Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. A month ago, my brother and sister-in-law died in a car accident. They left behind my niece, Isla, one female, and no will to state their wishes for her or their home. My sister-in-law's family immediately stated their intentions to not take in Isla. From my understanding, no one on that side of the family is financially stable. My sister-in-law's mother works a part-time job at Walmart, and her sister has 5 of her own kids who struggled in school and who are perfectly content with working part-time retail jobs and living paycheck to paycheck. In the same conversation regarding Isla's future, my sister-in-law's family keenly inquired about taking the cars. Both paid off and are less than 3 years old, taking the TV, Sony 65-inch, taking furniture, and splitting whatever money is left over for my brother's and sister-in-law's accounts after their estates have been settled. Honestly, I don't think the sum of their accounts is a lot, because my brother and I would often talk finances. I think they maybe had $5,000 between them. To be blunt, I was livid. My husband and I immediately stated that Isla would be staying with us, and additionally, outside of any sentimental items, the majority of the remaining possessions would be sold in an estate sale, along with the cars, with 100% of the earnings being put into a bank account and college savings account for Isla, because I imagine that her parents would have wanted that for her. They hadn't opened bank accounts for her, so we decided to get that started. Our son Luke is the same age as Isla, and we would want for her to be set financially, just as we have started for Luke. Sister-in-law's family fought back, saying that isn't fair. They lost sister-in-law, and she would most definitely have wanted for them to have some of their things. Her mother and nephew really want the cars because they can't afford ones of their own. But also, they aren't offering to help with raising Isla. They said they'll babysit if needed, but she'll have to figure out her own finances down the road if she decides to go to college. They said if because none of them went to college, and they figure Isla might not go either. Am I in the wrong to deny them the cars or some non-sentimental belongings? I'm honestly 100% thinking of Isla and making sure she gets everything her parents have left for her. I think she deserves everything. This isn't to say that my husband and I won't contribute to her growing funds. We will, of course, be adding more to her savings and college funds, just as we do for Luke. My family will also be contributing. Am I the a-hole? Please advise. Edit. We have a lawyer and we are going through the proper legal channels here. But the question I'm asking everyone is the ethical dilemma of are we being too harsh in denying my sister-in-law's family the non-sentimental property that they're asking for, like the cars, big electronics, furniture, etc. Edit 2. To answer a few questions and confirm some things. We are definitely going to adopt Isla. She's been staying with us ever since the accident, and she's adjusting well to being here. The first 2 weeks were the hardest, I think, as we slowly changed her schedule to match Luke's. And she's been such a trooper. We used some of her parents' clothes and blankets for her to snuggle into throughout the day, and we've already put away family photographs, their wedding album, and quite a few other personal effects away for her to revisit in the future. As for sister-in-law's family, they've been reaching out on social media and via text message, mostly going unanswered by me and addressed by our attorney. And hopefully they'll shape up so they can stay in Isla's life. I do think sister-in-law would have wanted her daughter to at least know her family, but after this, I can't think of letting them be alone with her, so we'll do supervised visits, hangouts, and family parties. Bluntly, they're dead. They didn't have a will, so it all goes to Isla as their heir. They're trying to steal from an orphan child. You'd be an a-hole if you let them. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. They lose a member of their family and care more about the cars and TV than the living survivor. That's incredibly ducked up. I really hope you've spoken to a lawyer. Without a will, her family might have a claim, though they might not have the money or energy to try to challenge it legally. People just don't get it. Don't you understand that a nice big TV is a highly charged sentimental item? That the sister-in-law obviously would have wholeheartedly wanted the cars to go to her family to remind them of her, because your own offspring clearly isn't family. Don't you understand that whatever money was left will soothe some of the terrible pain sister-in-law's family is going through? I can't believe you think you are the a-hole here. It's just ridiculous. Not the a-hole. And keep the girl away from that family. They don't care about her in any way, and will do their best to drag her down to their level if you give them any chance. Sister-in-law's family is a bunch of greedy hyenas and vultures. My mom got married to Henry in January of 2020. He had just gotten divorced for the second time when he met my mom, and my mom had been a widower for 4 years. My dad died when I was still pretty young. Henry had kids from both his marriages. He had 3 or 2 from the first one. I never met them. They were older. He had Vivian from his second marriage, and she was 5 at the time. Henry's ex-wife was not in Vivian's life then or now. The background from what I got is that both were divorced and remarried, but their kids were not happy, and Vivian was a surprise baby that pushed both their kids away from them. None wanted Vivian to be their sister. So Henry's ex decided she needed to focus on her older kids, and Henry ended up with full custody. He was desperately trying to not step up for Vivian. I think he honestly regretted having her and resented her for being born, but didn't want to be that guy, so he tried to make up for everyone abandoning her. He married my mom and tried to push her off on her. But my mom was a nurse, and during the worst of our stay-in-place order, my mom was out of the house until very late and stayed in a little apartment attached to our house that we usually use for guests. So he was home with us, and he'd often try to pawn Vivian off on me. I never let that happen, and nothing changed after things opened up. My mom did spend some time with her when she could. The marriage was not good, and then they separated a while ago. Henry asked if my mom wanted to keep Vivian, and she said no. He then told me that just because he and my mom are divorcing doesn't mean me and Vivian can't stay sisters. I told him we were never sisters. He said we were, and that she saw me more than her bio siblings. When I still didn't budge, he told me that somebody has to want her, or she's going to be ducked up. I asked him why that can't be him. He said he doesn't want her, but that more people need to. That she is aware she has siblings that don't want her, and I could be different. I could be the one who stays, even though I don't have to. I told him that would not be me, and he needs to accept it. He then told me he can't do it alone, because she's going to realize sooner or later that she was a mistake. I snapped at that point, because it proved my point that he just wanted someone to ease his guilty conscience. I told him to focus on his kid, and stop trying to pawn her off, because she sees that, and it will make her realize way quicker than if he just does what he needs to as a dad for her. He called me spoiled, and said I was shaming him for trying to care for his daughter. I thought it was crazy, but then Mom was like I went too far, and he had a point that I could have a sister if I wanted one, and could really benefit her life. But that saying that to her ex was not going to make things any better for anyone. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Poor Vivian, though. She may have been a mistake, but no one wanting her is still so cruel. Her mom is a complete deadbeat, and the father doesn't know how to take care of her. Not the a-hole. Your mom is wrong. Your comment was perfect. Anything that can be said about your relationship with Vivian applies to her too. So pot, kettle black applies too. Henry is unworthy of fatherhood. Mother-in-law and I used to get along all right, and she used to babysit my daughter one day a week to help with the cost of childcare. I had cameras set up in the house because, honestly, my daughter's safety is the most important thing to me. This was not specific to mother-in-law, but my stepmom babysat occasionally, as well as a teenager I paid. I used to check in fairly often. One time mother-in-law did something I didn't like. It wasn't anything terrible, just we have different styles, and I asked her to not do that again. But obviously she found out about the cameras. Mother-in-law flipped the duck out. Now I know why. Father-in-law did not allow her to eat much, just grilled chicken and lettuce, and when she came to my house, she would eat junk food. That is 100% fine, and I would never have outed her. But she has issues with food because of father-in-law constantly humiliating her in public. He was a jerk and had the attitude that he paid for a trophy wife, and she was going to look like one. Mother-in-law screamed at me. I reassured her that I know she eats at my house, and that is our secret, but she was pissed about the cameras and stopped babysitting. That was years ago. She's now engaged to someone who doesn't suck like father-in-law, but we don't get along very well anymore. She frequently makes comments about me being creepy and little jokes about me being a peeping Tom. I've let a lot of crap go because we didn't see her often, but it gets old fast. The other day, I mentioned my mom visiting and staying in a hotel, and mother-in-law's fiancé made a joke about who makes their mom stay in a hotel. White people are weird. And mother-in-law added she would rather stay in a hotel because I would probably put cameras in the bathroom. I just snapped and told her what it says in the title and to shut the duck up. She got kind of pissy and left soon after. My husband says I'm in the clear, but some other family was there and felt I was being too harsh. Now everyone is calling me an a-hole behind my back, which I know from one informant cousin. Well, if you put surveillance cameras in your home without anyone's knowledge, and they find out you're surveying them while they're doing you a favor, I think it should come as no surprise they'd be upset and find it creepy. You're over it. Clearly doesn't mean your mother-in-law is. Why are you surprised some of your family think you're an a-hole for blowing up on your mother-in-law? You're the a-hole. It's common courtesy, sometimes a legal requirement, to tell someone you're recording them. You owe her an apology, as well as your stepmom, and especially the teenage employee you filmed without their consent. You're the a-hole. Don't secretly spy on your family when they are trying to help you out with free childcare. It's creepy. You don't seem to have any self-awareness. I, 19, moved in full-time with my dad, 41 male, and his wife Helen, 45 female, about a year ago. They've only been together about 3.5 years. At first, Helen and I got along. We bonded fast. Things were great. I noticed that she never came to me directly when she had an issue. She would always talk to my dad to talk to me. Dad is always very real with me. He doesn't sugarcoat a lie about how he feels. He always tells me if he thinks something she complains about is unreasonable. About a year ago, they bought a house together and I moved in. I pay rent, not a lot, but enough for what I'm getting. I do chores around the house every day and work 35 hours a week. Since we've moved here, Helen has a lot of issues with me, yet she still won't come and talk to me. At some point, she decided I hate her, when I genuinely just don't see her much due to my work schedule. Dad has been coming to me with Helen's issues often for some months now. This all came to a boiling point last week. Helen wrote on the chore board to clean my room, so I did. Took me a few days between work, cleaning out my car, and the mound of laundry I pile up. I admit, my room was in bad shape, but it wasn't horrid. After about a week, I deemed it clean and went out to my boyfriend's. After my first night, my dad texted in our group chat between me, him, and Helen, asking when I was coming home. I told him I'd be home the next day. Helen responds with, "Have fun. When do you plan to finish your room?" I responded quite bluntly. All I have to do is laundry and vacuum, which I do Fridays anyways, but it's pretty clean to my standards. I'm more curious as to why you're in my room when I'm not home. I know it's your house, but that's my personal space. Silence. Hours later, Dad calls me, says Helen is on his butt, calling me disrespectful, rude, ungrateful. He understood where I was coming from and said all I did was answer her question and ask a question. He mentioned she was drunk, which she has been a lot lately. I had problems with her going in my room while I'm not home. She had messed up my altar and taken down some of my tapestries before, so I was pretty upset to know she was in there. A few days later, Dad and I got a chance to talk alone. He said that Helen was threatening to kick me out. She told him to give me 30 days to pack up and go. She felt so enraged and disrespected that she was ready to kick me out, but couldn't even come talk to me. Dad offered to help me get my own place, but I can't help but feel I'm getting pushed out. It hurts to think that she hates me. I don't think I've really done anything so terrible. So, did I go too far? Was I disrespectful? Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. If you're paying rent, it is weird for her to be poking around the room. And in my opinion, your dad is sort of dragging you into their marital issues. Sounds like a toxic dynamic all around. I would try to get out, get some distance, and see if you can reestablish the relationships along healthier lines with your own boundaries respected. Not the a-hole. I have a feeling Helen has wanted you gone from the very beginning. It's also super weird that she won't talk to you about things that bother her and instead runs to your dad to tattle and complain. Almost like she was trying to poison him against you so he would kick you out. Not the a-hole. You're 19 and paying rent. Cleaning your room is a fairly juvenile chore to be freaking out over. I, female 25, have been with my husband, male 28, for 3 years. We got married 6 months ago. He has 2 brothers, both younger. One of them, Danny, male 25, has been dating a girl, female 24, for a couple months. I'll be honest, I don't quite like her. Ever since she was introduced to the family, I got a weird feeling about her. My brother-in-law is usually a very cheerful and happy person, but he doesn't look like himself when he's with her, and I know him well since we were classmates in school. It's like she's draining him from all happiness. I think the problem is that she's too jealous, and she doesn't like it at all when me and him are together. She's always trying to get his attention and getting him to be next to her all the time. Sometimes we're talking, and she comes and takes over the conversation. It's very annoying. The rest of the family is quite okay with her. My husband doesn't like her as much either, basically because I don't like her. She's invited to most of our family gatherings. However, 2 weeks ago was my birthday. I spent my birthday with just my husband. Then we went to have dinner with my family, and a different day we went to have dinner with his family to celebrate. So I picked the restaurant, one that everyone would like. and agreed to them when it was convenient. I invited my other brother-in-law, male 20, and his boyfriend, male 21, mother-in-law, father-in-law, and Danny, but not her. Danny asked me if she could come, but I said I had already made the reservations and such. He dropped it then. We posted photos on social media and such. Yesterday we had a family gathering. Nothing special happened. We just wanted to have lunch together. She came and kinda ignored me, which is not weird since she tends to do that. But then she started telling me stuff like I don't consider her family. Then she asked if I had a nice birthday party. I said, yeah, it's very sad you couldn't come. We had the reservations and such. She told me to quit it and stop acting like I like her, when I'm always getting between her boyfriend and her, which is not true. I told her that the restaurant didn't have any bigger tables, and that's all, but she continued arguing. Mother-in-law told her to just quit it too, but she made such a big deal of it. Now my family is telling me I could have just invited her to avoid all of this. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. You're acting like a middle school jerk. You deliberately excluded her and made up a stupid obvious lie as to why. You have no actual reason to dislike her. Oh no, she likes to talk to her boyfriend when I'm out with him. But even if you did, this would be over-the-top cruel behavior. You're the a-hole, and your comments just make it so much worse. You come across as petty, self-centered, and like one of those girls who marries into a boy family and thrives on being the only female and center of attention, and gets jealous as duck as soon as any of her brother-in-laws look away for a moment, much less gets a partner of his own. I actually feel sorry for her. You're like the queen of the pick-me's, and I say that reluctantly as a woman whose own best friend is male and who really hates the inherent misogyny of that term. But honestly, every time I started to question it, I'd read another comment from you suggesting that you know your brother-in-law better or deserve to have private time to talk to him at a family function. He's her partner, like your husband is yours. You don't get to monopolize other people's partners or get vengeful when they want to spend time with them. And that's what you did. You literally got vengeful and cut her out of a family occasion because you don't like her. And your only reason for not liking her seems to be that she takes attention away from you. So, yeah, you're the a-hole. Get therapy before you ruin all your brother-in-law's relationships. I know you're young, but this is acting like a child. A middle school mean girl to be exact. If you invite everyone except one person's partner, it's pretty obvious that you're deliberately excluding that partner. And then to top it off by telling a stupid, obvious lie, and really grinding in that lie. Yeah, you're behaving like someone half your age. If you're trying to turn your husband's family into a messy drama, bravo, this was a great move. Hopefully you actually like them enough that you don't want to create that kind of constant drama and strife. If you keep this up, you risk actually breaking up the family. Just sit at the far end of the table from the woman for duck's sake. With 8 people there, you can almost entirely avoid talking to each other with minimal effort. You're the a-hole.